Good afternoon, Trailblazer fans. Welcome once again inside the TV studio. My name is Jeff Polari, Assistant Athletic Director, here this afternoon with MCLA Lacrosse head coach Maria Bartini. Coach, thanks for joining us today.
Sure.
Season opener 2 weeks away, so time is flying by.
Yeah.
Still in kind of our infancy stages, so to speak, with the program. You've been involved in the program from a little bit from club status on through the varsity transition.
Yeah.
Talk about some of the differences from where we are now to where we were a year ago.
Well, there have definitely been some big changes since we first started last year, for a couple of different reasons. It was not just that the players were new to intercollegiate competition, but I was also new. I mean, I'd been coaching at the high school level, so coming into college, I didn't really know exactly what everything was going to be like in the conference play and the non-conference play. And so I think that we've really developed our skills in the off-season and in the fall ball. So when we compare, I think about some of the drills and the activities and game-like scenarios that we're doing in practice now and think about what we looked like last year at this time doing it, it's like night and day.
Yeah. And we had a lot of successes last year, even in the first-year program, winning our first ever match down at Mitchell,
right.
And then winning the home opener up here, so to speak. And that will obviously, hopefully, fast forward to this year in terms of heightening expectations. What are you expecting a little bit this year that maybe last year you might not have been capable of doing?
Well, I think that I'm hoping that we'll have a little more resilience in matches against tougher opponents. That was a little hard for us. I mean, kind of ironically, the winning our first game might have actually set us back a little bit because we won the first game and I was like, oh, this isn't as hard as we thought. And then we started playing against other opponents, and when we hit some adversity, we had a little trouble dealing with it. And it took us a while to kind of figure out how to kind of rise above. So I think we're a little tougher now, have some of those experiences under our belt. And I think that, we'll fight a little longer through the whole game from start to finish.
Yeah, great. MASCAC just released the preseason poll. Obviously not a tremendous amount of support for MCLA, which is probably expected at this point as a second-year program. Have you used that as a motivational tool at all for your women?
Well, I think that it actually takes it takes all pressure off. Like we can really go nowhere but up, and it also gives us a great opportunity to surprise some people. I personally really like the underdog position, and so I'm really talking that out with my players of like, let's go out and surprise people. Nothing excites me more than somebody having a low expectation for us, and then it gives us a real opportunity to kind of take advantage of that and show them that we're capable of a lot more than you're thinking. Yeah. Another
drastic change from a year ago. You guys are heading south in just a little bit of time. Talk about what you'd like to see get out of the Florida trip. You're playing a 2-game schedule down there, opening up on the 17th with Goucher and then closing the trip with Eastern Connecticut, which I'm sure will be a great challenge for you. So talk a little bit about what you're hoping to get out of that trip.
Well, a couple of things. It'll just be, I think, really good team bonding opportunity that we're still working on, kind of establishing our team identity since we're still a pretty new program, that we're kind of trying to figure out exactly who we are, what are our values, and how do we fit together as a unit of 18 to 20 women. So having all that time together, I'm really going to be focusing on that kind of team building and culture development for our program, but also just the excitement of traveling together, being able to practice where it's nice and warm. We have been getting outside a bit, but it's been cold, so it'll be really nice to really be sweating in t-shirt and shorts for a change.
Now, the mild winter has obviously been a big benefit, I would imagine, to your program. Talk a little bit about how you've been able to get outdoors, expanding practices and so forth, and how you think that'll translate into better success on the field.
Well, some of our weaknesses last year were in our transition game from defense to attack and back the other way. We also had a lot of trouble with ground balls. We struggled in maintaining draw controls. All of those were skills that you can't really practice inside a gym. And so when we've been going outside this early season, we've been putting a lot of emphasis on our clearing, on our redefending, on a lot of ground ball challenges. So we're doing a lot of skill work with ground balls, and we're working into kind of spending some more time on actually practicing draw controls, so that we can hopefully improve those areas of our game.
MCLA has a very favorable home schedule. In reality, the month of April, you're hardly on the road on the weekends. You get a lot of conference opponents at home. I think you have 4 consecutive weekend MASCAC opponents. How does that shape up for you? Is that an advantage, disadvantage? How do you feel about all that going forward?
You know, I think it'll be exciting that we can hopefully get some good fan support out there. Hopefully with maybe a little milder spring, we'll be able to get more fans to our home games, which I think will be very exciting for the women to be able to play against people from not just the campus, but from the local community. I'm really hoping that we can, you know, this could be something good, not just for lacrosse for MCLA, but maybe lacrosse in Berkshire County, because even at the high school and the youth level, it's still a relatively new sport. And so if we can maybe get some, you know, local girls from the community to come to the games, that might generate some excitement for their involvement, and that will just help our program in the long run.
Right, right. So a lot of different changes, some things staying just the same, but what are your expectations moving forward for the entire season 2016?
Yeah, so I mean, we do have some stability. We have about 10 returners, but we also have a lot of change too. We had a few transfers that came in who have a lot of experience. We also had some players who had been at MCLA and had lacrosse experience but didn't play last year. So we have a lot of new faces on our roster, but they're all bringing a lot of experience and talent. So even though it might look on paper like we have a lot of inexperience because half our roster is new this year, it's actually, we actually have more depth than we did last year. But I'm really trying to emphasize that, you know, we're going to have some players who are going to show up on the stat sheet a lot more than others. You know, some of our returners were standouts last year, and I expect them to kind of continue with that this year. But there are also going to be a lot of new faces, and there are also so many contributions in lacrosse that don't show up on the stat sheet. And so I'm really trying to emphasize to them that every little bit that you do helps the team. If you go in and give us 5 quality minutes and you know, make a nice cut through that opens up space, that cut through isn't going to show up on the stat sheet anywhere, but your movement that created the goal scoring opportunity for your teammate who put it in the net. So
Great. Well, Coach, listen, I wish you the best of luck. Season opener next, March 17th, 2 weeks from tomorrow. Goucher College down in Claremont, Florida. Should be an exciting season for the Trailblazers.
Thank you.
And fans, stay in touch with everything at MCLA Athletics on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, or log on to athletics.mcla.edu. Thank you, and have a great afternoon.
Thanks.